Kamen Rider.
Yes.
I swear, if this guy turns out to be some Kamen Rider stan who ends up becoming like the semi-final boss of his series, then I'm leaving. Kind of surprisingly, this week's recap was done by Hanto, which made me think this is going to be a bit more of an episode centered around him. It wasn't, though he would play a bigger part later. But yeah, it was still of course the usual fare with Shoma, who had traveled to the countryside completely broke and unable to buy even some cheap produce from an unmanned grocer. Yeah, I've actually seen these setups in No No Biori, and almost thought it couldn't be real because really anyone could take veggies and not leave the money behind. But I guess Japan is a very trust-based society, so that would never happen then.
いただきます。ほら！この野菜泥棒が！泥棒?
Well, at least now you can join the Lupin Rangers. Fortunately, they left Shoma off because he just so happened to look almost exactly like their late son. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an old picture of Shoma's actor before he got his hair dyed for this role. Still, and probably to make themselves feel better, they took Shoma in and fed him, and yeah, it was still a very wholesome scene that even gave us more hints about Shoma's time with his mother, and how they likely only ate produce on his homeworld of the Grand Newts, because the meats they ate were mostly, well... Still, now that he was on Earth, he could eat smaller, weaker animals like we do. Hey, at least we eat the stuff that's on this planet. On that note, the Stolmach family were still dealing in their shady businesses, in particular the twins, who were trying to keep it a secret that they were looking for Shoma, because, according to them, they still wanted to have their fun with him. However, it was heavily implied that their brother Yuliv already knew about him. Meanwhile, as we mentioned, we got to Hanto's part of the episode, where we also got to know about the Grand Newt researcher named Kenzo Suga, who, interestingly enough, is played by Shintaro Asanuma, who is usually more of a voice actor. For Kamen Rider, he did the voice of Dragon Balgam from Gotchard last year, and in another of Junko Komura's shows, he played Juron from Zenkaiser. However, I think I know him personally best as the voice of one of the most controversial Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D characters. Can someone make sure that Katsumi Ono is not part of the show's staff? Anyway, Crow-sensei had already gathered a lot of intel about the Grand Newts, including the process by which they turned humans into those picture frame things, which he compared to being like a freeze-drying process, which, yeah, thanks for the image, dude. Learning about this, and how they were being used for their evil jello drugs, Hanto understandably got pissed off when he realized that's what likely was done to his mother, though notably, we didn't see the Wolf Grand Newt freeze-dry her, and in fact, he just seemed to carry her off. Still, it is easy to feel bad for Hanto, and Jesus, is that an actual tear? But yeah, they also discussed ways humans could fight against the Grand Newts using a couple of gochuzos. Later, Hanto tried to tell his mentor about him, who was rightfully suspicious of the stereotypical mad scientist dude. Moreover, his deck is still kind of meta these days. Back with the creator of those mascot characters, Shoma was living happily with the elderly couple who were giving him a fulfilling life, and yeah, how much longer till things start to fall apart again? Yeah, that's what I thought. Still, at least he was able to produce some new power-ups for the week. Yeah, he's just producing some heart seeds is all. I mean, they're both made of plastic. But yeah, his peaceful life was broken up when the agents of Stolmach attacked, leading to the elderly couple getting caught in the crossfire. They were thankfully okay, but Shoma had to lead his attackers away from them, which then led into a meeting with the twins, and a not too shocking reveal. Oh my god, Jeep was a guy! Yeah, they did make it pretty obvious that Shoma was the Philip of this very disgruntled Kamen Rider villain family. They had mentioned that their father had a mistress, which of course was Shoma's mother, and the only reason they kept her around was because of said father, who had recently passed away. Thus, she and her son were free for the taking. And through a little gaslighting, we got flashback to finally give us full context as to what happened to Shoma's mother, and, well... Okay, so you already kind of hit me in the feels last week with the Yakuza guy, so could you just hold back a tiny bit? Yeah, way more than Hanto, who at this point, I'm not convinced his mother is even dead. It was legit heartbreaking to see what seemingly was left of Shoma's mother's freeze-dried body being crushed like a dried-out husk. And of course, like Hanto's mother, this could also be a fake out, but at least for now, it is a little hard to assume that, and if anything, Shoma's reaction really sold it, along with more of the twins' gaslighting.
見知らぬグラニュートの腹の中
Urge to kill rising.
With that, Shoma henshin and had a really good fight with the agents, as unlike previous bouts, there was no real gimmicks to these guys. They were just a couple of highly trained assassins using nothing more than their superior fighting skills to overpower our hero. As a result, we did get one of the grittier fights with some very interesting, if at times confusing camera angles, like here where I think Shoma suddenly teleported.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
Whatever the case, it did lead to a good moment of resolution when Shoma declared that he'd protect the world that raised his mother. From there, he of course launched a counterattack with his newest buddy. Fu and Marshmallow, on top of referencing the best secondary writer of the Reiwa era so far, also increased Gavv's defense to near invulnerable levels, whilst also letting him use sound effects as though it was the Echo Stand from JoJo. Exchanged like most Stonewall forms, he was a lot slower and couldn't attack as easily as he essentially turned into Baymax. Fortunately, his finisher gave him access to another JoJo reference. And he didn't even bother to give the agents the usual speech because they were your typical soulless foot soldiers. He did, however, extend it to his very undeserving half-siblings. Of course, they said no and just walked off, so yeah, the battle was won, but they did manage to score a different kind of victory over him by forcing him to realize that, yeah, anyone around him was in danger of getting hurt, as he wasn't the type of superhero who had the convenience of a secret identity to these villains. Thus, he left the elderly couple not just to prevent them from getting caught in the crossfire again, but also so that they couldn't produce the happiness spice for the villains. God damn this show. And the episode ended with Shoma passing out, but then being found by a mysterious figure, which the next episode preview almost immediately revealed was a friendly Granude, so yeah, thanks for the spoilers, y'all. This was another strong episode that provided multiple gut punches of different varieties. Like, on the one hand, the action here was really good, with Fu and Marshmallow having some very unique and interesting abilities, but they also went really hard with the tragic backstories for both of our main characters. This is especially well done in Shoma's case, with the twins acting as just a perfect little pair of heels. While we already had a good idea of the fate of Shoma's mother, as well as his connection with the Stomach family, the drama here still hit really hard. Part of it was of course because of Hidekazu Chinen's great performance, but also because of his asshole half-siblings. The twins are perfect examples of villains you just love to hate, as not only were they your typical brand of conniving and pompous, but they also were just a couple of vile gaslighters who, without even touching Shoma, might have left him with one of his most significant scars by making him realize that as much as he wants to get to know others and make them happy, he can't really afford to do that when his enemies literally feed off of happiness. It obviously makes him a very tragic, yet endearing character, but also interestingly enough, they are dropping a bunch of hints that there is something unique about his powers, aside from how they give him a very varied moveset. Meanwhile, Hanto's part of the episode was also intriguing with the kind of promise of another rider coming soon, and Suga's quirkiness. But yeah, overall, another strong episode that really highlighted the tragedy of Shoma's life and how truly awful his siblings are. Marshmallows are a very soft and inviting treat, but for a Kamen Rider, that's not something they can really be in their line of work. Thank you for watching, and as always, be sure to check out some of our other videos on this channel, as we are going to start changing things up with the new season coming. Since we don't have much time to make an announcement video, and we've already shown plenty of clips of them, we may as well say that for the fall season, we're planning on covering two magical girl anime, Aqua Trip and Meglumer Company Limited. Granted, the latter one is a bit more of a shonen, but we'll get more into that when the time is right. Regardless, look forward to it. Until then though, for now my friends, and yeah, I should have figured that Stay Puft would arrive around this time of the year. Well, good thing I keep my umbrella close by.